What's going on, guys? Tonight I've got two master torpedo heaters in the back of my truck here. One is a 220,000 BTU. This is their new silent drive. It's supposed to be half the noise of the other one. It's not supposed to have an air pump in it like the old ones that everybody has to adjust and everything. I've never seen one of these in person. I've looked on YouTube. The only videos I've seen of them is the one from the factory. I've never seen one by somebody that owned one. So I'm gonna test this out here in the shop and do a review on it and try to see how the thing works and what they're using to get the fuel to the burner, and post that on there. Just kind of a how it works video, I guess. And the other one here is 135,000 BTU. And this is just the old style that uses the air pump like everybody has. I picked this up for my dad for Christmas. He has a shop and he don't have a heater for it. And he's too stubborn to buy one. He just puts on more clothes and toughs it out. So I picked this up for him. They had these on sale at Tractor Supply, a little discount on them. And so I picked both of these up. I'm gonna give that one to him for Christmas. And the other one, like I say, we're just gonna make videos with, and it'll be a little quieter when it's out here running and making the video versus the other one that I currently have over there, which is right there. It's the old style, but I did some work to it and it still works fine. But so we're gonna get these out and open them up and put some fuel in them and make sure they work. I'm gonna test his as well. That way I know it works, because I've had a couple of these things before and they're kind of picky on the fuel pressure adjustment. And you do get a defective one sometimes. I don't want to carry this over to him Christmas and it not work. So I'm going to test it out, make sure it works, and we'll put it back in the box and all that. So here we go. All right, guys, I got it out the box here, and it goes together like right backwards as the other one. The wheels are on the front of this one, whereas my other one, the wheels are on the back. They changed the design of it on this one for whatever reason. Even the other one, the 135, I got the wheels are on the back. I don't know why they put the wheels on the front on this one. Maybe it puts out so much heat, they thought it would be safer, and they give a little stupid wire guard that I'm probably not going to put on there. This thing right here is supposed to clip up here on the front and make it all safer and everything. That just looks like something for somebody to touch and get hurt to me, really. But anyway, find the bolts and stuff here. I threw them on the floor. Does that. Not too hard to put together other than those soft screws that the head strip out of. So we will pour some fuel in it and see if she works. Just going to put 2 gallons in it. That should be enough to make it work. Get the fuel to pick up. Alright, it says that once the heater is powered on, it will indicate accumulated hours of use, and then a self-diagnostic cycle will commence, and then it'll display ambient temperature. Ignition will automatically commence when the thermostat is set higher than ambient temperature. Alright, now it's pushing the start, I guess. We'll try to. That's what it did. It is quiet, I'll give it that much. Not sure what temperature it's set on. I don't think it needs to be set on 112. I think an 85 should work maybe. I don't know. I'll play with that later. It's not going to cut off outside anyway. Got fuel dripping out the front of the heater to me, like it's not burning all over, or it's got a leak inside there or something. Kind of weird. Any fuel dripping out there? It's getting too much fuel in there, or it's got a hose leaking, or something or other is going on there. I'm not sure what, but it's not going to work very well like that with fuel dripping out the front of it. You can see that on camera, but the fuel dripping out the front of it right there. That's definitely not normal. So I'm going to shut it off here. It goes into a cool down cycle, is what the instruction says. And I'm going to pull the top off of this thing and see what's going on with it. Well guys, there's a fuel leak right there. I'm not supposed to run this thing with the cover off like this. You see this filter or whatever it is right there is dripping. Cut it off before it gets too hot. But they've got a fuel pump here. Instead of the air pump, they're actually using a fuel pump. And I'm not sure if that's a return because they have a copper line here going up, going in. It's got some kind of line here, so I'm not sure if that's like a fuel return. That's what I'm thinking. It's leaking right there out in this gadget here, whatever that is. squirrel cage fan in there that's blowing air through the center of the burn chamber, as well as a normal fan back here that's pushing air around the whole burn chamber on the outside. So other than that, it's pretty similar with a igniter and everything of the old style. And you still got your photo right here. But this fuel pump should be more, you know, reliable, I would think. But I don't know why this is leaking. I'm gonna see if I can take that off and take a look at it a little closer there. All right, guys, I got this thing here off and apart. It's got wires going to it. It's some kind of fuel solenoid, something or other. I'm not sure what the thing is, but it's got wires going into it, and there's a coil inside of here. The fuel goes through here. This is a piece that's screwed onto the line there. It's got an O-ring here. It goes through here like that. And then it's got some more O-rings and a case down here. Let me bring it over here and show you. Let's see. It's got a plunger here with a spring in it. It goes inside of there like that, and looks like a stop for a shutoff valve right there. And then this piece here just sets down on that, and that's where that line was plugged on at. And it's got an O-ring there, and there's a washer that goes in between here with another O-ring that seals there. So the only thing I can think is this thing wasn't crimped together good. Is possibly why it was leaking. Because you see the metal tabs on there where they had it crimped together. Maybe it wasn't crimped good, and that's why it was leaking, because all this goes inside of here like that and it's crimped shut. Alright guys, I got this stuck back together there, and I crimped this down with some those needle nose vice grips I got there right here on these bends, and I crimped it on down pretty good, so hopefully that'll fix the problem and I won't have to mess with calling the hotline on this stupid thing and all that. I hope this will fix it. So I'm going to stick this back on there, and we're going to fire it back up and see what happens. Just want to show you guys one more time where the sensor is right here. It's got those two wires right there running over. This fuel line plugs on the back side of it. Totally not sure what it is, but it looks like some kind of a return or something. I'm not sure. I say I've never seen one of these heaters. They haven't been out very long, this style with a fuel pump on it like this. But that's where it was leaking fuel, where it was crimped shut. So took it apart, took a look-see. These wires right over through the other side through that hole, and go around here in the circuit board, plug up right here. That's the igniter box. But I'm gonna turn it back on here for just a minute and see what it does. Like I say, I'm not supposed to be running it with the cover off like this because it gets super red hot right here, you can see. But I'm gonna do it just for a minute, see if it still leaks right there. Yep, there still leaks. Alright guys, I took this thing back apart. This is the little solenoid deal, and I got to looking at it a little closer. I dropped it and lost a little spring out of here. I'm not sure how critical that is anyway because of the way it works. This is the fuel line, supply line runs up, and this T's in the side of it. So it looks like to me that this could be relieving the fuel pressure after the heater cuts off, because I started the heater up and held my finger over the hole that this screws into. The heater runs, and there's a good bit of pressure on it by holding my finger up. I mean, I don't know, 20 pounds or better. I mean, it squirts fuel out past my finger. So I don't know. That's the only thing I can think this could be. I'm going to call them tomorrow, see if I can get a new one of these, but I think I figured out why it was leaking. This O-ring here, well, first of all, this plunger goes in here. Your fuel goes through there. It's supposed to have a spring, but like I say, I lost it. But then that plunger seals off down in here, like that. It has a return line right here going back into the tank. The only thing I can think is when the heater shuts off is that solenoid pulls this back and lets the excess fuel go back in the tank in order to keep that pump from starting again with pressure on it or having pressure left against it. But if you look, there's two holes, one there, one there. Fuel comes in the back side of it. So if that's there, even without a spring, fuel should push that forward and be closed like that. But with those two holes right there, this O-ring is supposed to seal right there. And I can tell you there's no way that's making a seal. You see how it just slides in there? There's no friction whatsoever. Just sits there. And the O-ring is down below the lip. There's another flat washer that goes on here. And then that solenoid sits there, and then it's crimped down. But the O-ring's not thick enough so that whenever your flat washer goes on there, it's crimped, that it makes a difference. I mean, there's absolutely no friction right there. That's the wrong size O-ring or something they got going on there. There's just no way that'll seal. So I don't know what they did there, but that's not going to work. There's an O-ring up under here, and it's a pretty good snug friction fit. You can see right there. You got to really tug on it, and that one there, it just falls in there. So I'm going to call them tomorrow and see if they will ship me this whole solenoid little part with the wires on it. And if they will, I'm just going to screw it in there and get it back working. So hopefully they'll do that, and I'll add that to this video. Alright guys, I reassembled this thing one more time. Like I say, I lost the spring out of it, and I still plan to call them tomorrow and ask them what's going on with this gadget. But I wanted to try it one more time. I found an O-ring. They had an O-ring on the outside of this here, but up under this metal shield. So that when you compressed it, it kind of compressed the O-ring, but it didn't really do anything because there's no fuel right there where they had the O-ring at. The only thing I could think is maybe it helped hold the crimp tight. But the other O-ring that they had that I showed you a while ago, I moved it to the top side of here, right under here, so it did the same thing. And I took this bigger O-ring that they had right here and put inside of this right here, and I had to put oil on it. It was such a tight fit to get it to squeeze in there when I crimp this down. But I'm pretty sure that this is sealed now. You can hear the plunger in there moving because there's no spring because I lost it. But as I say, I think the fuel pressure will push against it and seal it. And then the solenoid should pull that plunger back and allow the fuel to dump. So I think it should still work like that, and it should be sealed because that O-ring was really tight to get in there right there where I showed you a while ago where that one was loose. So I'm going to stick this back on there and give it a shot, and I'm still going to call them tomorrow regardless of the outcome and see what's up with this deal and see if I can get a new one on the way. Because I'd rather do that. I don't want to box this thing back up and have to ship it somewhere, carry it back to the store, and all that. I'd rather just put the part on there and be done with it. So I'm stick this on there. We'll see what happens. Alright guys, this is one last thing I'm going to try. I got it back on there. The heater will not run unless I put my finger over that where the hose plugs on to keep fuel from coming out, because that plunger, this is a plunger. See, it's got a little rubber on the end of it. It had a spring here that went down inside there. I lost a little bitty spring. I can't find a spring that small nowhere. I found an ink pen spring that is bigger than the diameter of that hole. So it would set flush on the outside of this, but the tube that it goes down in, the spring won't compress enough. So I'm gonna cut this plunger off here with a grinder, cutoff wheel, to make room for the spring to fit in here, and hopefully this will work. I don't know, like I say, it's a last ditch effort because I lost the spring, but by switching the O-ring around, I did have it sealed up to where it did not leak whenever I did crimp that line off and make it where it would get fuel pressure. So I'm gonna whack this off here, and then we're gonna put it together one last time. I'm still calling tomorrow and getting them to send me a part, hopefully. Whatever the case, I'm just trying to get this thing to run tonight just because. So we'll whack this off here and we'll see what happens. Alright guys, I got that thing where you see me cut the plunger off. I put a spring in it, got back together with seals off. There's no way that that thing can be functioning like it's supposed to, because by me cutting that plunger off, that solenoid goes around that brass tube on it, and it's going to make that plunger work in there. By me cutting that plunger off, that plunger is not going to be pulled back by that solenoid like it should. So it's basically just blocking that hole off, but it's not leaking and the heater is running. I'm not sure what the purpose of that is. The only thing that I can think that makes sense in my mind right now is that when you shut the heater down, is they're dumping the fuel in that line back to the tank, and that way on startup you don't have you know, excess fuel being pumped in the burn chamber and a whole lot of smoke and stuff. That is the only thing that I can think that could be used for. I'm going to find out whenever I call these people tomorrow and talk with them and ask them. Seems to be running fine, other than there's more flames than I think there should be coming out the front right there. It's a whole lot of heat. It's a good bit more heat than the other heater over there. But I don't know why the flames are coming out like that unless this style just does that. Like I say, this is the first one I've ever had of this with the pump and everything on it. I know the ones with the air pump don't do that unless you got way too much air coming to them. But if you look at the burner, there's a whole lot more gap around that shield than there is with, say, the other one. If you look at this one, and I'll show you this one over here, you see there's not near the gap right there. So that could be, you know, part of the cause of why that's like that. But I tried to adjust the pump pressure here with this here. I adjusted on this one, didn't do anything. I adjusted on this one, and it does increase the fuel. When you turn it in, you hear the fire pick up. You back it out too far, there's still flames shooting out, but you hear the fire go down, and it starts smoking, you know, a dirty black smoke coming out the front of it, like it's not getting enough fuel to burn clean. So that's kind of about where they had it set there, somewhere pretty close maybe. This is a tube that comes off of that fuel dump solenoid I was messing with. And like I say, that's the only thing I can think. The manual doesn't even show this in the parts diagram. It shows everything else, but it doesn't even show that solenoid in this tube. So this must be something new that they're doing. But I had the thing blocked off right now, the way I did it, by me whacking that off and putting that spring in there to seal it and swapping that O-ring, getting it where it don't leak. It's basically just like it's not there, like, you know, because there's no way that that solenoid can pull that plunger back with me chopping it off as short as I did. But it's got the heater working, so I'm happy with that. I can stay warm out here, and I can get this other one unboxed that I'm messing with, or gonna mess with, and make sure it works. And I'm gonna give them a call tomorrow and find out what's up with that stupid solenoid I've been jacking with for about 3 hours, trying to figure out what's going on with it. And I'll let you guys know how that turns out. Guys, I'm trying to talk to the heater people on the phone. I talked to the guy named Paul. He was looking for the solenoid and couldn't find it, and said he was going to put me on hold, and he did, and he cut me off. And I've been trying to get back a hold of him. I've been on hold for 45 minutes almost so far.
Climate control industry. We supply our
nobody's picked up.
Climate control solutions to more than 26 markets outside the USA. Thank you for calling Pinnacle Climate Technologies. We'll be with you shortly.
Yeah, shortly. 45 minutes and counting. Alright guys, I finally got somebody else on the phone after about 51 minutes, 52 minutes there, and I think the guy said his name was Don. He did know about the solenoid, and he put his hand right on it, said he had a bunch of them, and it must be a common problem or something, because he knew exactly what it was, and said he was going to send me one out, and I should have it probably next week sometime. In the meantime, I asked him about another problem I noticed, which was the hours wasn't going up on the hour meter. When you turn it on, it's supposed to show hours. And he talked to another guy, another tech, and they told me just to run it after I get the fuel solenoid on there and run it for a while and see if it starts recording, and if it doesn't, to call them back and they'll send me a new top piece for it or whatever. Maybe something's wrong with that one, but I ran it about 2 hours out there, and it's still showing 0 hours. And he said just to run it for a while after I get the new fuel solenoid and see how that works out, which is not a problem. It doesn't affect, you know, the heater. It's just, you know, one of those deals. I just wanted to ask about why I had him on the phone. The other thing I asked about was, I was looking through the manual here, and it shows fuel pump pressure right here. They got two numbers there. For the 220, 56 and a 93, and I showed you there's two brass screws on there, and I asked him, was that number like a low and a high side on those screws, and he said he did not know, but they always tell whenever you adjust the pump pressure, you're supposed to adjust both of those screws evenly. So I don't know, because they made these heaters in a dual heat function, a 170 and a 220, so it had a high and low, and then they took that feature away, so it's just a straight 220, and that's what this one is. So I don't know if those pump numbers were for, say, if you had it on a 170 setting, you would set the fuel pressure to the lower, the 56. If you had it on the 220 setting, you set it on the 93. And he couldn't tell me either. So that company has got such mixed up stuff, and I'll show you here that they don't even show the that part. They show the solenoid, if you look right here in the wiring diagram, is number 6, and it just shows the dump, and it's wired in the PCB board. But if you go to the parts diagram over here and you look right here, it is not there. The fuel filter goes to the fuel pump and out into the burner, and there's no fuel solenoid there. There's no fuel solenoid there anywhere shown in any of these pictures. And if you go over to the parts section of it, scroll through all this, and there is no mention of that solenoid in here anywhere. So you would think return fuel line, intake fuel line, that there would be something there, but there's just not anything there. And you can actually see that line right there coming off the pump right here, going straight up to the burner, and you know, there's no solenoid there. And that's what the first guy I talked to was saying, he couldn't find it. But that second guy, he found it and knew what was going on with that. Said he's supposed to be sending me one, so I will put that on there and see how things go, and there might be a part 2 to this video. But I mean, I got the heater working like it is without the stupid solenoid functioning. So they couldn't really tell me a whole lot of info more than, you know, what I've already figured out. It's kind of like, I don't know if you ever been to Home Depot or Lowe's and you're looking for a plumbing part and you pretty much knew what you needed, and the guy was asking you, you know, if you need any help finding something, and you try to tell him what you're looking for and he has no idea. That's kind of the way that conversation went. You know, they didn't really know what to tell me. They didn't have no more idea than I did, really. So anyway, that's how that's working out. So I'm getting educated on these silent drive new heaters here, just about like I did with the old style heaters. Had about the same results on them. I think the first 2 of those that I bought, had to work on both of them with the pumps and stuff, and One of them was the dual feature, which is that black heater I got out there. It was the 170 and 200 or whatever, and it had a switch with two balls. It's supposed to flip the pressure, and it leaked so much dang air out of the dang things that you couldn't keep the thing working. I mean, the pump wouldn't put up enough fuel pressure to make it work, and so I went and bought the older style cover. It didn't have all that dual feature stuff, and replaced the pump. And I got a video on here on that. Most of y'all have seen it, but I put that on there and did away with all that mess and made it work. But so anyway, we're all getting education in the new solid drive heaters here, and I think the guys that work at the heater place need to go back and get them a little better education so they can help people that do have a little bit of knowledge on this, and can help them troubleshoot a little better. But anyway, we're going to wait on this fuel solenoid to come in and get that put on there, and I think that'll fix the major problem, and we'll just see how the rest of it goes. I did ask the guy about the flame shooting out the front, and he said it shouldn't be doing that. I tried adjusting the pressure down, and it still seemed to, do that until it started burning sooty. And he said if you adjust the pressure too low, it'll do that, which I already knew. But yeah, anyway, it doesn't bother me if the flames come out the front. As long as it burns clean and it doesn't stink, it's not a big issue. So if I get the fuel solenoid on there, it's not leaking fuel, and I know that solenoid's working like it's supposed to for whatever reason, which I don't really care. I got it bypassed right now the way I did it, and it's working. So either way, it's going to do what it's going to do. We're going to make some videos without the noisy heater running. That's going to be great. So thanks for watching. I'll check back with y'all later on the heater deal, and stay tuned for the next video.